is there any way that you are seeing this within the bloodline? If you're now living the dream, living the vida loca, I think it's very important for them to understand at the very beginning that it doesn't end here. Behind every success story, there's a sacrifice nobody saw. Some people inherit privilege, others inherit grit. And today's guest is one of them. His story is a very unique one that begins with a journey that his father made a very long time ago, walking across the shores of Africa in search of a better life. That kind of courage doesn't just appear anywhere, and it has showed up in his son, who decided very, very early on in his life who he wanted to be. But this wasn't a straight road. From being underestimated to struggling with grades to walking into his first banking role unprepared, his path is full of moments we don't usually hear people talk about when they talk about success. So today, we would be unpacking the real journey, the sacrifice, the exposure, the imposter moments, the unfinished dreams, and the vision for the future with our guest and my friend, Kelly. My brother, welcome to The Shaft. Listeners, today we are meeting someone who proves that ambition plus exposure can change the trajectory of a life. He's a banker, he's a dreamer, someone who knew his path very early on, but also someone who is humble enough to admit when he's not done it yet. Thank you so much and welcome to The Shaft Conversations.
Thank you very much, Erasmus. Or, like I always call you Mali.
Yeah,
that introduction, I must say, is quite something. When I was listening to you, I was like, oh, wow, I don't think I've ever been introduced this way anywhere.
No, I think we already had a conversation, right? Like looking ahead to this interview. And for us, these are the kind of stories which we are looking for. And I think you've been on this podcast even before. So I think the perspective that we're looking to put out here today is to allow for individuals to see what's behind this. And also we are quite excited to hear what you are working on. So I want to give you the first few minutes, if you are happy to tell us about yourself, what it is you are working on, and what it is that is exciting you, some of your new goals, what you're doing, and where you are currently.
Yeah, thanks very much, Rasmus, for inviting me back onto your platform. I think I see the work you guys are doing, and it's amazing. Every day, the rate and the pace with which you bring out episodes and you keep your community engaged is also very, very, very much like admirable. So I'd like to say just keep up the good work, and then hopefully you're able to grow and then get to the levels that you really want to take this podcast to. But I think my name is Kelly Amankwa. I was born in Ghana, so I grew up in Kumasi till about the age of 8, and then my parents lived in Spain. So we had my sister and myself. We moved to Spain, lived in Barcelona for a few years. Just after the 2008 crisis, Spain was one of the countries that was really hit hard by the 2008 economic crisis. So my mom lost her job as a result of that. My dad he had already started doing import and export. So in Spain, he would buy vehicles, mostly accident vehicles. He would dismantle them, pack the engines, the doors, and then he would ship them to Ghana and then sell them in Abosokai. Sometimes he would send some to Magazine. So that was his trade. And I think somewhere in 2010, he said, you know what, I don't think there's a future for us anymore in Spain. So I could go back to Ghana and then help, start a new business. So let's move. So just when I was starting GHS, we moved back to Ghana. And then I had a younger brother. So we moved back home, did my GHS, my BEC in Accra.
Yes.
So this time we came back to Accra. We didn't go back to Kumasi. And then from there, I went into PRESEC. And from PRESEC,
I must say the best secondary school in Ghana. Should I tell everyone?
I mean, I'm just happy that you've admitted it. I didn't have to push it, but yeah, PRESEC was definitely like a defining moment in my growth. I think for me, the signs were always there that you were going to do something good. Because when we moved to Spain, within 3 months, I had picked up the language so well. So what they do there is that when you come in from a country where you were not speaking Spanish, they would put you in a class separate from the rest of your colleagues. So they will teach you how to speak the language, write the language, and then they will bring your math work to you separately from the rest of the class. So you still follow up with the class, but then you're giving you a space to grow. But I think I didn't stay in that class for long. I think from the first term, I started joining my main class, and the teachers were very impressed with the way in which I was learning. I think it's that sort of openness to learn and resilience and the ability to just like fix your eyes on a target and just keep going at it is what I think. Looking back, and I'm like, probably it started from way back then, because I managed to win an essay award in Spanish. So,
Those ones are
like I played.
wow.
Yeah.
How is your Spanish right now? Can I test you?
Oh, my Spanish is I always say I speak fluent Spanish.
Wow.
Fortunately for me, and I think by God's doing, what like they say, the universe sat down and then they put a script together, and they said my wife was supposed to be a Spanish, the person who speaks fluent Spanish as well. So my wife was born in Madrid.
Oh wow.
And the family moved to the UK. And just like that, one day someone said, "Oh, there's a Spanish girl here, and then it would be nice for you to meet her."
Yeah.
So we drove to the church,
all
and
those
then
efforts into Spanish didn't go to waste. I see.
So I mean, I thought like, oh, one of these usual people, like
Yeah.
So I saw her in the church, like, oh, she's actually beautiful. So we started speaking, and then I said, I speak Spanish, and it's like, yeah, you speak Spanish. Like everybody says they speak Spanish. But then we had like a full-blown conversation, and she was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never met anyone around my age who is Ghanaian, goes to the same church as I go to, and then who speaks Spanish at the same time. So we picked up, and I think that has also helped conserve the language, because the Spanish identity is a very strong part of her identity, because she lived there till I think before she just started secondary school, and then she moved to England with her family. So we both speak Spanish in the house. So if we ever come around you, and then we are we are saying something you don't understand.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's really beautiful. I'm sure you remember that I was in Panama, and I got like my mini introduction to the Spanish language. It's such a romantic language. I love it, and I love the people who speak it. They are very, very expressive, very, very jolly.
Very expressive.
Yeah, it's really, really nice to see it. But
I think when we're in Madrid for Worlds in 2022, like it was very good, because I think me and some of the guys went to have lunch, and I think because I left early, I don't know if you remember, I left before the tournament ended.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, who is now going to walk around and help them buy things?
True. No, so ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking to land it, you know the secret, learn Spanish. But no, but moving away from that, I'm very much interested in the story of how your family landed in Spain in the first place, because you did mention that you were born in Kumasi and grew up in Kumasi. Was there any story behind your family having to move to Spain and then later having to come back?
Yeah, I think my dad, I think he's just, like they say, self-made men. I think that can probably just describe him. He was born in Kumasi as well, in Ashanti. Well, not in Kumasi, because I think when we say Kumasi is the city. Ashanti region is much larger. So he was born in Riamuasi. So that's like easily an hour and a half drive from like Kumasi city center itself. And he grew up there with his family. When he said he was just about the age of 20, he moved to Kumasi. So, so now from Riamuasi to Kumasi.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he decided to put himself through training. So he went to KTI, Kumasi Technical Institute. He was sponsored by someone to learn how to do repair fridges and air conditioners.
Okay.
So that was his skill. Yeah. And he decided to then, after graduating, working in Kumasi for a while, decided to move up to Tamale to set up a shop. So he had a shop, he had apprentices. And when he got some money, he decided to go to Libya and then see what could work for him.
Wow.
When he came back from Libya, I think he had an awakening in Libya. I don't know what it was, but he came back saying, I think he saw probably the lifestyle of the Libyans, probably in the early 90s, and then he felt, okay, there's something more for him that he could do. So he told me that he looked at his life in Tamale, and then he realized that there's no way he could, achieve the dreams that he wants. There's no way he could plan for a better future for himself. So he decided to move to Spain. At this point, he had met my mom. So he decided to move down to Accra. And those days, he told me there were like what we call connection men,
Yes.
like do
So
visa
these are
for
like
you and all of that.
middlemen who work out
Middlemen,
help
yeah.
do the documentation, right? Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah. So he engaged one of them to take him to the US, actually. So that person didn't show up. I think he said he had saved a few hundreds of dollars, and then it got just like stolen, or
The
I just
money sent
took it and never showed up.
right.
Yeah. Precisely. So there was a man who one of my brothers is named after him in Kumasi. Who he was friends with one of his sons, and he said that man gave him a few hundreds of dollars to see if he could go back and continue his journey. So he said there was a popular route. So people will sell you the route. Like if you want to go to Spain, you have to go to this country, go to that country, and then what we will call trekking. So like walking on the desert. Like people will say, walk on the desert. So he did that. So I think he said the route will start from in the northern region, cut through Mali, Mauritania, go through. So you literally do like the like Africa curves.
Yeah.
So you do just literally that curve upwards to Morocco.
Yes.
And then once you get to Morocco, you are able to then I think just when he got to Morocco was the inception of the EU. So there was a lot of open for immigration and opportunities and all of that. So I think he was quite lucky in that sense. So when he got there, I think if you get to Ceuta or Melilla, I think it's I don't know the last one. I think it's Ceuta. I don't remember. But Ceuta is sort of like Spanish territory in Morocco. So once you get there, and then you're able to then be accommodated, and then you are given the right to work, and then you're integrated into the Spanish system. So that was that's how he got there. So the journey was from walking on the desert. So it's not as though he walked the whole way, but in the journey it involves doing a car from one point to another, getting down sometimes because the cars cannot literally go through the desert, so you have to walk on your feet to a certain town, doing all of this and dodging immigration and dodging all the official routes because it's also illegal to do that. And he said he once got arrested, taken back to start the journey from 2 countries behind. Yeah, he said there was a point he had to stay in Mauritania for 6 months to work and then gather money because they had, some thieves had just taken their money, beating them, and then he had to stay there for 6 months, hustle, and then get some money just to be able to continue a trip. Because he said the dream he told himself was he was going to Europe, not to settle in Mauritania.
Yes.
So he left. Yeah, so he left and he continued. So I didn't see him until I was about 3 years old. My mom hadn't heard from him. I obviously no telephones and all of that. So no FaceTime or anything like that. So when he got to Spain, God being so good, he managed to get integrated really well. He got his documents to work, legalized and everything, and then he was sent to Barcelona where he started working. And that's when he decided to start getting back in touch with the family back home. So I think we are also grateful to him that he decided to come back. Because we hear stories of men who get there and then it's like
have second
their families never existed. Yeah. So he came back and then he started doing his trade. I think from very early on he said that he knew that there was no way he could, get what he wants by just doing the usual jobs in Spain. So he actually put a proposal together. And I think for someone who had just done up to Form 4 education, that was very good insight for him. So he managed to put a small business plan on some renovation project, took it to a bank. He had a mortgage by then, so the bank managed to help him giving a loan against the mortgage and all of it. So he managed to then get his first capital to start doing his business back and forth. And that's a story. So yeah, it's quite a unique and interesting one.
It's really fascinating because you hear, especially in this day and age where immigration has almost become a hot topic, these are some of the success stories which a lot of people have been trying to point out to, and the kind of people that eventually come here, people like your dad, are filled with so much grit, so much purpose, and a determination to succeed, especially given the opportunities that abound over here. But for me, I think the more interesting thing to ask is him carrying that level of great. Is there any way that you are seeing this within the bloodline? I'm sure you've heard the story a number of times, but in what ways has this impacted your personal journey, especially getting to the point at which you are now?
Yeah, I think for him, growing up around him, you always got a sense that you could do anything you put your mind to. So that he used to say that a lot. And when we were in school, I used to tell people that when I was probably, because he used to come back before we left for Spain. So this must have been when I was around 6 or 7. And when he comes, he'll take you to the harbor with him. So you go to Tama when he's clearing the goods. You get to see like he's mentioning some, this is 100 million, this is 200 million, this is, and I'm like, I couldn't conceptualize what 100 million, 200 million was talking about. Yeah. But also he would then put you in charge of things. Like he would say, today we are offloading, like, let's say 2 containers of engines at Abosokai. I don't want you to do anything. Just stand here. If you see anybody putting anything in their pockets, just run and come and tell me. And it empowered me to like look at them like, okay. So there was even a time where somebody picked like a plastic thing from the container I ran. I was like, he's stealing from you. Like he's taking your goods. And then he was like, who? And I said, that guy, he just put something in his pocket. And the child was like, oh no, this is nothing. But yeah, just keep doing it. Keep going. And I think that sort of that empowerment to say that, okay, as young as I was, he's like, you are doing this business with me. Like when I come and I'm clearing the goods, it's with you. Like those days were in Kumasi with my grandparents. So anytime he comes to Accra, he would take us to Accra with him. He was, give you the exposure. And like he would take you to the beach. He would talk to you and tell you like some of the things he's done. And I think from that very like early stage, I got the mindset that you can do everything you put your mind to. And I think he was also very honest. Like he's not those parents who were hiding things. Like he would tell you. I remember one time I asked him, "Do you ever lie?" He said, "Yeah, sometimes I have lied in the past." And I think getting that sort of reality check from very early on was very, very instrumental in shaping my mindset. And I think I look back at him and I'm like, he came from nothing. He's managed to give us quite like a comfortable life. The least I can do is to really have a goal for myself and just go at it like as much as I can without ever thinking. Because he raised his life. I don't think any of my goals involve me physically being able to like come face to face with death, right? Because walking on desert is one thing, and then now getting to the point and crossing the sea is also like another thing.
Yeah.
And you've seen the materials they used to cross. It's not like a proper ship. They cross on rubber boats, like and then you could easily drown. So, coming like knowing that and seeing where I am, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing that you think you can really, really do that you can't do. And like I'm saying, none of my goals now involve me having to even do skydiving or anything like that. So I think, there's definitely that element there. Like I think probably unconsciously or whatever, like I have picked up certain things from him that, and even till today, we still talk a lot. Like I just saw him yesterday because we were in Wolverhampton yesterday with them, and you still see that sort of I can do everything spirit, and you can do this, and and I think I told you when we had a conversation that when I was in PRESEC and someone would score like 98 in elective math, and the highest I ever got was like 82, and then he came back and he's like, "Why the person who got there is 98? He's not a human being just like you. Can't you also get 90?"
Parents, right?
So it's just that kind of thing. Like, oh, everybody can do it. You can also do it. Just do it. Yeah.
So I know you just mentioned about you being in PRESEC, and I know you did also mention that after your period of study over here, because I know right now you are in the UK. So I would imagine that you reaching senior high school and you coming here, there's been some difficulties. There's been some opportunities where you've had to overcome certain barriers, because I don't imagine that it was as smooth for you, even if it was not as dangerous.
No,
I would imagine it was as smooth for you. So when people see the polished version of yourself today, how did you manage to? What were some of the difficulties, first of all, and how did you manage to overcome them?
I think like starting from PRESEC, there's this imposter syndrome that you carry. So I came from a school where I was assistant head boy. You think you are one of the best in the school. If I was in the I was in say top 6, right? I was never number 1 though. And going to PRESEC with like you get your grades. You go and do. I didn't want to do science. I think I knew that from, and you can understand why I didn't want to do science after having a father who's been grade. Naturally, you begin to get involved. And those days when I used to see the news and the economy, the business news, and then they do their trends and the charts, I was really intrigued. I was like, oh, what is this? Like, and because I had been hearing a lot of exchange rate conversations from like very early on, because he was trading in euros and if the rate goes up, like you see how upset he gets, like, oh, I've lost money, and like, so it got me like, interested in like, oh, okay, what is this about? So I knew I wanted to do business, and I think I also wanted to go to a boys' school, and they didn't want me to go too far away from home. So I think PRESEC just became like the perfect choice. And he had just finished building his house around Hacho, and Hacho to PRESEC is like a very short distance. So I actually started PRESEC as a day student. In fact, I did most of my PRESEC days as a day student. If you ever saw me in a boarding house, that was for like very specific reasons. Either we're training in a debate, we're traveling somewhere. I had permission to stay over because I had to do something. So so that was my PRESEC journey. But coming back to the imposter syndrome, you get to a school and then you realize that, Charlie, you think you were good, but then there are like better people here. And going into the debate club was what changed it all for me, right? So so he was assistant head boy in PRESEC, but we had been in the same GHS. And one Fridays we used to close at 1:00 or 1:30 something. Yeah, 1:30, 1:00. And he said, "What are you going to say?" Well, I'm going home. It's 1 p.m. Friday. And he said, "Come to the debate club." So he just took me to the debate club. When I went, the first person I saw give a speech was my best man for my wedding, Max.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So Max was giving like an extempo speech, and then it sounded so well. I was like, oh, who is this guy? And when they finished, one of the seniors, I don't remember his name, but I'm sure Max will recall. And he said, okay, this is the topic. Can anybody get up and speak? Okay, you are the new guy. Get up, say something. And it's like, I don't know where I got it from, but I got up and then I gave an extempo speech for 1 hour and everybody was just clapping.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden I felt like I belonged. So the guy was like, which class are you in? I said I was in B1, business one. And he said, okay, good. We have a tournament coming up. Do you think can help us prep? And I'm sure you're also aware, those days you have somebody writing speeches and somebody like also doing the actual speech and somebody doing the writing.
Yes.
They said, I want you to prep arguments for against the motion on this topic. I've forgotten what the topic was. And that's how I really started getting myself integrated. But the crucial point in my debate journey was, one, I was a day student, and two, I wasn't coming from a background of, PRESEC places a lot of emphasis on being gentlemanly.
Yes.
Dressing in a particular way, carrying yourself in a particular way. That was very new to me. So when I got into the debate club, it already had people like Solomon.
Yeah.
You know how?
Yes.
You know how Solomon carries himself.
Yes.
So and it had Safo Jr. And it had because I'm trying to remember some of the names who later came into university debate. Jeremiah joined much later on. When we were in second year. The rest didn't really like come into university debate after. But they were prefects. And it had the prefect. And when you go, there's a long history. So that's why I heard like BNI's name for the first time. Because like they keep records and they remind you of some of the people who have come and the things they've done. And in those days, they used to say something like, there's no better extempo speaker than Boache. And I'm like, who is Boache? And then they'll say things like, oh, he's currently like Africa's like second best public speaker, because apparently he had won public speaking. No, he had placed second in Calabar or something. And that was a big thing for us in the club. Like everybody was talking about this BNI. So I actually reached out to him when I was in Form 2 third term. And I was prepping for a debate. And that was the first time I went on Facebook and I texted him and he said, oh, he'll be in Accra, so he'll pass by the school. And that's how we actually met. So I met him before I even came into tech. So so going into that space, you are forced to take on a certain identity because everybody is sounding smart. Everybody is sounding like they know what they are doing. Everybody is sounding like they've read so many books. And I wasn't much of a reader. So, I had to like go through the challenge of making myself relevant. So training, going back home, doing rehearsals in front of the mirror, all of that. And eventually I became president. My journey of becoming president was also met with a lot of challenges because people like Solomon felt that, like, why is this guy the president? He's even a day student. Like, he can't even speak to save his life. Why are you making him the president? But I think all of that helped me grow. And I'm proud to say that we left the club in a much better place than we had met it. Because by the time we were leaving, PRESEC Debate Club, was popular. We had won the Independence Day. The Independence Day debate. There's this series that they do where you do districts, you do regionals, and then you do the zonals, and then when you finish the zonal, you do the two zones. So the northern zone meets the southern zone, and then you meet in I think it's Great Hall in Accra, and then you do Yeah, and that was the first time in about 10 years that we had won Accra. So because we're not winning. And I happened to have spoken that day with Safo. So it was myself, Safo, and a guy called Itiba. And one of Safo's lines I always remember was like, but at the end of this debate, you cannot clearly see that my opponent's arguments are as twisted as my right arm. And
yeah, and the joke over here is about Safo and his handwrites.
Yeah, and when he said that, and obviously, like, everybody who has met Safo will know, like, the whole room just went like, yo, and everyone was like, what did he just say? And like, so Safo has always had that thing like from way back. Yeah, so and that was like very so, and building up the story, Eric Speechless has also just come in at that point too. So he helped us prep for that debate as well. So I think that's why I keep saying that PRESEC was a very like crucial part of my growth and my story, because that's when I discovered my leadership potential really well. I trained my public speaking speech like aspect of myself really well. My writing, my coordination, my organization skills, collaborating with people, running a club, and then leaving it in a place where now people would want to be part of the debate club in PRESEC. So I think that was very crucial for me. And I think I look back and I don't think I regret ever like taking on that role in PRESEC. Yeah.
No, that's incredible. Like, and for me, like, thank you so much for giving us the backdrop to the story. I think it really does show how you had to build character, how you had to build confidence, and how you had to build some of those leadership skills. And I mean, we'll get more into that. So, I wanted to ask. I think one of the things that really fascinated me in the pre-discussion was how much set you were on being a banker, because you are a banker now and you work within the financial system and institution. You are also a businessman. Where would you say that certainty to pursue this dream come from, especially at a young age, given that within our societies, you never saw kids who knew what they wanted to become?
Yeah, I think it comes from very early on. Like my sort of indoctrination had always been, you have to leave a mark. You have to do something great. You have to challenge yourself. So I remember in 2008 when Obama was running for president, my father was wearing "Yes, we can" t-shirt in Spain.
Wow.
He didn't have a vote. He couldn't do anything about it. But and I think anybody who was a little old enough back then realized how much Obama's spirit, like, cut through every society. And I think it came very clear. And I think, like I've said from before, my dad being the kind of person who always pushes you to do something for yourself. So I started asking myself, what do I want to be? I actually wanted to become a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor who would go on missionary missions. They go and help people in disadvantaged communities. That's what I wanted to become. But I think growing up gradually, I realized that numbers came easy to me. I was able to really think around things and break it down. And I realized I didn't like sitting and reading for long hours. So I started looking for the career that allowed me to blend my ambition. And straight away, I was like, okay, I need to be a banker. So just when, like, around 2011, 2012, I realized that there's something called central banking. And then the highest person at the central bank was called governor. And I said, oh, maybe I can be that too, So that's where the drive really started from. So, and also with the whole background of the import-export trade business, exchange rates, all of that, I used to hear that a lot growing up. So it shaped and I knew that, okay, this is what I want to be. So I loved economics. So I started reading economics. I started understanding demand and supply and all of that. So I loved it. And economics was like one of my best subjects in PRESEC. I never wanted to miss an economics class. So going into PRESEC, but leaving PRESEC, I think one of our teachers, our core masters, used to say something like, you can always go and read the degree that everybody is reading and add up to the numbers and then struggle to get a job afterwards. Or you can distinguish yourself and read the degrees that are not so popular, yet very, fundamental to the things you want to do and still become relevant. And then that way you can get a job. And I think what he was trying to tell me was, don't go and do business admin. Because if you pick like 20 boys in a class in a business school, in a business class in Ghana, they'll tell you like 15 of them will say, I want to do business admin. Yeah. So, and there was a guy who had gone to do economics and statistics and mathematics in Legon. He was one of my seniors. So I was like, actually, I like economics. I don't think I'm struggling with elective maths. I mean, 80 and 70 something is good enough. I think I can crack it. Yeah. And so
You'll be top
I
of
think
the
I would like
class
to
in
go.
Andrew's school, so you should be fine.
Yeah. So I think because of that, I actually chose admin as my second choices in both universities. And then in KNUST, I picked statistics. And then in the University of Ghana, I picked econs, maths, and stats. And then I picked other options as well. So when the admissions, so even before I finished, I knew where I was going. Now, after PRESEC, I traveled to London because my dad wanted me to. Listen, I think I told you this on the call as well. He was
Yes,
like,
yes. I
they're like,
really want to hear that story also.
it was like this ticket I'm buying for you to go to London is the last time I'm ever like funding any of your trip abroad. It's the last time I'm paying for your ticket. If you go and you want to travel again abroad, you have to go and work and get your own money and then use it to buy your own. When you come, give me the card, and the next time you tell me, I'll put you on a flight and I'll take you back wherever you want to go. So that was like, I felt I was like, what's this man talking about? Like, why is he saying? But then he sounded very serious about it.
Mm,
So when I came to the UK, I told my auntie, I need to find a job. She's like, yeah, but you are here. I'll give you money. You don't have to. And then, I mean, she did. She gave me a new phone. I think those days she gave me like a Galaxy S5. It was quite new. She was giving me like 20 or 30 pounds every week. Like it was really comfortable.
boy, yeah, big boy.
Yeah. Because like, well, if you want anything, just tell me. I can buy you anything you want. But I was like, no, daddy says I should work. And I want to come back here again. So I should find a job. So I actually found a job in a restaurant and I was helping with the kitchen. So I'll go to the kitchen, pick the plates they've washed, put them they had this small lift in the kitchens because you can't carry all the plates.
Yeah.
Arrange them there, take it up, and then arrange them in the chefs. Like they have a place where they warm up because the plate needs to be hot when you're serving the food to kill any bacteria or anything like that. So arrange it there for them. And then once the food it was a steakhouse. So once the steak is ready, you pick it up and then you take it to the table and the waiter will come in. So that's what I was doing. I was doing it for 6 hours every evening between 5 to 11 p.m. And then I'll go home, come back the next 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And it was paying me quite well. I think they were giving me like £7 an hour and I was just 18
Big
years old.
boy.
So, it was good money. And then, funny enough, I still see that restaurant every day from the office now because
Wow.
I recently moved to Canary Wharf. And when you sat there, like, we have this floor where the canteen is. You literally see
Wow.
because it's on the other side of Canary Wharf here. So it's very interesting the way life life works sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the, and I think in building up the reason why I went. So I decided to do statistics. But coming back to that story, the reason why having the goal from very early on and being able to work on is so important was that it allowed me to define where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do with myself. So you just wouldn't see me doing anything. You'll see me doing specific things, but everything I was doing was very much intentional. I was building up towards something. So when I came, I went to church. I met a gentleman by the name Isaac Hammond. He asked me, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to work in central banking in Ghana." He said, "Oh, this is the first time I've heard somebody who is like very specific,
Yeah.
right?" Yeah. And then he worked at Barclays back then, so he was like, "Come to my office and we'll talk." So he invited me to the headquarters in Canary Wharf,
Oh, wow.
and this is 2016. So I like went into Barclays, went on the floors, the skyscraper, like saw everything, looking at the people out. So it gave me this exposure and
The
this like
visualization.
understanding
How important was that moment for you?
no, it was life changing. It was really life changing because for the first time, he was also beginning to tell me the opportunity that existed for me abroad. So he was like, "Oh, if you want to stay here, there are even things like apprenticeships. You don't have to go back to Ghana. We can apply to an apprenticeship. You can start working in the bank directly." And then he started giving me all these tips, all these hints, and also inviting me to see them going into some of the boardrooms, looking at the little intercoms and the
Yeah.
screens and everything. I was like, "Oh, so this is what it really feels like. This is what it means." Everybody is sounding posh and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
I actually want to be here. I think this is nice. And I think that sort of, if anything, it made me understand that I have to keep going. I can't stop. Like, this is actually something within reach. Because the most important thing, there was a Ghanaian man who had lived in Ghana, went to Accra, and then doing this. So I could also do it. So that was very important. It was telling me that this was possible for me. So obviously I got statistics and then I came back to KNUST. Because my dad was like, okay, no, come back home,
So,
like go to school. Like I don't want you to be in like you are just 18. So come back home, go to school. And then I decided to like obviously I didn't decide, I didn't have much of a choice, but yeah, yeah, came back home and then went to KNUST and then I think yeah, that's where I would have also met you. And
yes,
then, yeah.
yes, yes. But I think it's in your case, there is a unique interaction between exposure and then ambition. most of the time ambition never gets bed because there is no exposure. But I think you
Exposure.
have an interesting scenario over here where there was some kind of ambition and that level of exposure just exploded the ambition. And it's crazy because a lot of people do have dreams. A lot of people do have objectives and they never get to see them. They remain as dreams. So for you to have one day walked into Canary Wharf and said, I want to be this at 18 years old, and then now be able to sit over there in those buildings and in those offices, I think it's an incredible story. I think it's an incredible one. I want to go on and get to know just a bit more of the backdrop in terms of your preparation over here, because I remember when we had the conversations, one of the questions I asked you was there any points at which, was there anything or any challenge, any points at which you thought you could have done things much, much better, any disappointments, any regrets? And one of the things that you mentioned was your grades. I want you to give us a little bit of context into that. And also if there were some other things, other opportunities which you thought you dropped along the way or you didn't do or you failed at, which you think has still accumulated into you becoming the person that you are today?
Yeah, I think if I could change something about the journey, it would be, first of all, prepare yourself very well. And like I said, I applied to SEO wanting to go into investment banking. I didn't even know what a financial model was. That's how crazy. So it's very good to have the ambition. It's very good to understand what you want to do, but spend time to know a lot about the space you want to work in, what it requires from you, and how to be able to get there. And don't take anything for granted, because one of the reasons I would not have, assuming I had, even made it past the interview stages with SEO back then, which I didn't because, like I couldn't qualify the criteria to even be put forward for an interview. Assuming I even did, and then I went on, I didn't know what a financial model was.
Yeah.
I would have really struggled in.
Sorry, for
Like,
context, SEO is, I don't know the full name, but SEO is sort of like the training institution that helps to recruit students from Ghanaian or from African institutions into the London Financial Center, or like where is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So they would have been responsible for almost every Ghanaian. I mean, I use the word almost carefully. Almost every Ghanaian you will see working in Goldman
Because it's an
Sachs today.
exclusion, right?
Yeah, I'm exclusion. I'm an exclusion to that. Yeah, or Bank of America, most likely these days. They also do Jeffries. They put some people through Meta. I mean, Facebook. All of that. So they are doing really, really well. And the first time they came, I don't think it was the first time they came to KNUST proper, but they did a road show in KNUST where I had to be the one to like get the auditorium book for them and all of that. So
Wow.
so you see, I even knew like to an extent some
Yeah.
of the people helping and all of that, but the preparation.
Mm.
So prepare really well. And I think I wasn't prepared. So even though I had a dream, so I think sometimes the exposure can also make you a bit complacent.
Yes.
Because because you know what it feels like, it makes you think that it can come to you naturally. So I realized that I wasn't prepared enough. So that was why I had to go and do a master's for 1 year. And during that time, dedicate to really understanding the space within which I wanted to operate. I mean, as you would know as well, finance is so large.
Yeah.
Like, it's so broad. I don't think there's anybody who can claim that they are they're an expert on every single thing in finance. But then there are some basics that you know or you understand, or a conversation you'll be able to have. The ability not to be able to follow through those conversations, understand what they meant, was something that I would definitely would have changed. So it's very important that you prepare well, understand the requirements per se, because SEO could have come in at any time and I wasn't prepared to grab the opportunity, right? Whereas I know people who didn't even know about SEO, but because we were better prepared, they had the right grades, the right level of education, like everything was really good for them. But once they just heard of the SEO opportunity, because the preparation was so solid, all they had to do was just to prepare for the interviews. But then for me, it was the other way around. I knew everything, but I hadn't like applied myself enough to get there. And going back, I wouldn't. And the reason I'm a bit careful when I'm saying this is because the other things I did with my time has really given me a lot of advantages today. But I felt I could have pushed myself a little bit harder. I could have, decided to dedicate more time towards the things I was doing just to be able to grab those opportunities when they came. Eventually, I still ended up coming to Bank of America through a different route. But, it could have been much straightforward. It could have been easier. I could have been to a different team, different earning potentials and everything like that. Yeah.
No, that it's an incredible story, and I am one of the latter. So I obviously came through into Bank of America through a CEO, but I didn't know about those opportunities, and I would say perhaps not even that prepared, right? But you get to learn about them, and then you realize that okay, there are a lot of things which I've been doing with my life anyway, which has positioned me to take advantage of this opportunity. So what do I need to add in order to complete my entry into it? So I think I love your story, and I love your journey getting into that same place. It tells that there is not just one way to do things, right?
At all. Yeah.
What I also wanted to, I would get to talk about sort of some of the mindsets that and things with regards to your identity that you've developed in order for you to be successful. But since I asked about what you regret, at what point do you also feel like grace has played a big role? At what point have you felt like you've been lucky or things have also really, really gone well for you? Because I would also love to understand some of the ingredients that has gone into the things that you've been able to achieve today.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you say grace, and I think it's Charlie's every day. Like, I don't think there's like one particular instance where I was like, nah, this was grace. I think for me, every day has been like, nah, this is a product of grace. Because, I mean, you could say, yes, in PRESEC, I really, really put a lot of time into debate, and I became debate president. In KNUST, it was a different story. Like, it was, those moments happen. I'm like, okay, this is one of the moments I say this element of grace, because I mean, you know it better than anyone else. Like, I had been very non-existent for a long time, and then I so happened to be around when conversations were happening, and then I so happened to put myself forward, and then after conversations with different people, and like apply myself to the position and then get there. Also, some of the opportunities that position came with, and the things that it helped you develop, like develop a more resilient mindset, you forge a stronger identity of who you are, because and in places like KDS, it becomes very, you have to survive. You just have to survive.
That's the Kenyan
And I think
debate
that's
society, right? Just for context, you have to survive. I agree.
In KDS, you have to survive, and I think like going through that helped with the mindset of it doesn't always have to look straight. And I don't think my story at any time has looked like the usual route. And I think that's where I feel like it's always grace, because look at my dad, look at how he went about it, where we got to, how I came into, like, per se, the debate club, how I even came into KD. I mean, coming into KDS was a bit more structured because I had known people way before then, but even the whole leadership aspect. Now leaving Ghana, getting to do masters here, and then even coming into Bank of America, I literally just applied once. I had my 3 straight interviews and I got in. No exams, no anything like come and do, those proficiency things that you do. Can you type this in this? Can you do this Excel? I didn't do any of those things. It was just the first interview with my hiring manager. Went really well. I spoke to the head of Asia for the team. Went really well. The next thing I knew, I was speaking to the head of international for the team. It went really well. And then they were like, I literally ended the call, let's say at 10:20. 10:30, I was being called that, we would like to give
incredible.
So and it's interesting, even though so I left, but even when I wanted to leave, I kept applying to different places. I was there one day and I get a call from a recruiter. He's like, I'm calling from JP Morgan. We saw your application. Can you work? I was like, oh, JP Morgan. That's interesting. I know, going back to saying JP Morgan, my roommate and I, Elton. I don't know if you ever met him on campus.
Elton. Elton is one of the guys we used to interact with. Yeah, wonderful guy.
Yeah. So Elton wanted to always work in JP Morgan. Yeah. So not Elton, George.
Yeah, no, I know. Not Elton. Your friend Elton.
Yeah, my friend Elton. Yeah. Class. So he used to, he was we're in the same class, we're in the same room in Brunei. So Elton always wanted to work in JP Morgan. He used to say, I want to do my actuarial paper so that I go and work in JP Morgan. Guess what? when Elton left to go and do his master's in the US, he got a job with JP Morgan.
Wow.
And then I got a job with JP Morgan. and then we both, so there was times where we would be at work and then we'll just hit each other up on Teams.
Yeah.
We'll jump on a Zoom call. And then we just want to, let's say like, oh, is this real? Like, did we say in KNUST, in Kumasi that we're both going to be in JP Morgan, and then you are now in JP Morgan in the US, I'm in JP Morgan in London, and we're actually able to, talk over company like accounts, and it's actually real. I mean, he got a better contract, so he left now. But it's just to say that, whatever you dream and you speak about, keep working towards it. I'm a strong believer in grace because I see how it's playing out throughout. But I don't think it's the end for me. I have a very strong confidence that whatever I put my mind to, as long as I understand and I believe that I want to do it, and I keep working towards it, one day, some way, somehow, it would come to pass. I started the JP Morgan how many years back? I went to Bank of America first, and then I came here. I don't know how long I will stay there for, but definitely I know that, I still want to eventually grow into other areas of banking. I know I will do it. I don't know how it's going to come, but it's just that strong conviction that as long as I keep on this route, something is going to happen. I think that's my other things will happen in between, but just be. I guess it's to say to people that just chase your dreams. Like, dreams do really come true. Yeah, they do happen, and I think that anytime I have the chance to talk to people, when I came to Ghana, I think it was in 2023 or 2. I went to PRESEC with Solomon and Elisha and some of the boys, and I was telling them that, listen, we're sat in the same chairs that were there. Like, they are no different. The chairs have not changed. They are the same chairs. It's the same camp. We said we wanted to do some things. We are doing them now. Believe in the things you say about yourself, and then obviously there are opportunities and things you leverage along the way, but it is possible. Like, you can actually get there and then do the things that you want to do. So
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I think it's a very nice segue into talking about the tail end now. You're now living the dream, living the vida loca, the life that you want.
I want more money. So.
In the country that you want. What excites you now about the future? What are you working on that you would want all of us to know? Where is your direction headed? Then in a few years to come, what dream again would you be telling us has come to pass?
Yeah, I think for me, coming back from a son of a man who was business oriented, he's always told me that God said he will bless the hands of your handiwork. If you work for somebody, God is blessing your CEO, not you.
Facts.
So yeah, he said that, and I was like, okay, I don't know how to think about that, but I think for me now, and you said living the dream, and that's one. I don't know if this is true, but I have a mentor who said, because I haven't actually checked whether the quote is actually legit or not, but the quote was, it is wonderful to have goals and dreams, but it becomes terrible when you achieve them. Because when you now get to the place there you wanted to be, the question then becomes, what next? And life becomes to look a bit boring, because you're like, all my life, and listen, all my life, this is what I had been working towards. And then you get there, you're like, oh, it's actually happening. You're actually here. And so it began to bring up other parts of the conversation, especially because you would know that also coming from ethnic minorities in this country, sometimes there are much more difficulties in climbing the corporate ladder and also being able to sustain yourself and all of that. And I think sometimes it makes you wonder, okay, what more could you do with your abilities and your talents and all of that. So recently I co-founded a consultancy startup with another friend called Michael, who lives here as well in Sheffield. And we are a consultancy with a niche in data analytics, and we want to help businesses transform their operations, increase their revenue, save on their earnings, be able to cut down costs, to see where they can go with insights. So it's not just about we are building a dashboard and we are showing you insights, right? We are picking the insights and telling you that, listen, you are doing a business at point A today. If you run a delivery service, through data analytics, we could tell you where your orders are coming from the most. So if your shop is based in, let's say, Ajengano, or you are based in Enfield, and you do a delivery service, if you're able to track how many people are ordering, it's not just how many people are ordering from you, because that's just one element of the of insights, right? How many orders do I get? What time do I? That's simple. But then being able to understand that, okay, if I'm getting most of my orders from, let's say, Bawaleshi, or I'm getting them from, let's say, Edmonton, then it means that a lot of my customers are based in Edmonton. If they are always ordering around a particular time of the day, then it suggests that they are in a particular group of people. So it means that they are probably, if they are ordering mostly from 6 p.m. onwards to like 10 p.m., they are probably doing 9 to 5. So they are coming back from home, and if they are doing 9 to 5, they are probably in a certain earnings bracket. If you are having them order in a, like, probably much earlier in the day, they probably are most people who are entrepreneurs. If the age or the things they're ordering are with a certain age group, it helps you. So we help you uncover all of those little bits, put it together. Then okay, these are my customer base. This is who I need to target next. This is why I need to switch my business. I need to open my next branch in Bawaleshi. I need to open my next branch in Edmonton. I need to be able to cater to this brand, because cater to this group, because I have now learned that they are the ones driving. And I think that's one thing that we want to do to go to help you. So in the future, few years down the line, we would like to become like a household name in how small businesses can engage us in. We'll help them using data analytics to transform their operations and then earn more money from the things that they do, taking advantage of AI as well, obviously. But yeah, I think for me, I still want to, continue educating myself. I still want to go back to school. I still want to do a lot of things. I still eventually want to go back into central banking. I want to do all of that, and I still want to build this business on the side. I think I just want to do as much, and then, make it sound like I'd rather be happy that I tried and failed so many times than regret that I didn't know what could have happened if I didn't try at all. So that's I think the motivation.
No, it's an incredible vision, and I look forward to the success of this new initiative. And I think your dad is absolutely right. Like, more and more, there is the understanding that even as young professionals, it is important that we own something. It is important that we also work for ourselves and not just give all of our time away and work towards it. And I think that is the audience that we cater to, and the people that we try to speak to are some of the people who are in your position today and are wondering, I worked so hard to get here, or are trying to figure out their journeys. I think it's very important for them to understand at the very beginning that it doesn't end here. It doesn't end once you get to some of these companies. The journey is still quite long. I wanted to give you the opportunity to share a word with our audience. Or if there is someone who is 18 years old, like you were a couple of years back, or say 21 years old, who is quite confused about life. They've either gone to school in their BC, or they've written high school exams, or are in the university, and just are not sure what they should do next with their life or what steps that they should take. What would be your advice to them today, from your perspective and from your story?
I think first of all is the identification of where you want to go can be hard. It can be that whole process can be confusing and difficult. But it starts from there. You need to take some time away. The distractions are a lot these days, but try to find some time and sit down and really look at your life. So my former boss, the head of international for the commercial banking team I used to work for, he during one one-to-one session, he told me that every author knows the end of their story. They always work the story backwards. So he said no good author will write the story from chapter 1. They know what chapter 50 looks like, and they can do detours, but then they always know what chapter 50 is going to look like. So first of all, understand what your trajectory wants to be. Do you want to own a house? Let's start from there as basic. Do you want to own a car? Do you want to own a business? Do you want to be a banker? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be an engineer? Whatever you want to be. Once you're able to identify that first, work it backwards. Okay, what would it now take from me to get there? So I want to own a house. What do I need to own a house? I need money. How much does a house cost? Maybe these days, 300,000, 400,000. Okay, how do I get 400,000? Well, to get 400,000, you need to be able to have a job that pays this money. Okay, how long will it take me to accumulate the 400,000? Well, it will take me 5 years, 6 years. Okay, how do I make sure that I'm not losing the value of the 400,000 over there? I mean, it sounds simple because I also know about inflation, and so I'm able to apply the thinking. But for me, that's what has worked for me. It's systematic like that. Find a goal. Always find a goal. Once you know the goal, it makes everything else easier for you as you are moving along. You don't just waste your time anywhere. That has been my advantage because I always knew where I was going. Everywhere I was, I knew why I was there. Even though I might have not given it my all at some point, but I was still on track. So So find a goal, know where you want to be, and then gradually begin to position yourself to get there. And then just work and consistency, like just being consistent, keep being consistent about it. And eventually you'll be surprised how earlier you could get there, like even the way that you could, enter into those spaces without you realizing, oh, actually, like I'm actually here. Like I dreamt yesterday and it's happening. Not to say it's easy or it's going to be like a walk in the park. It's certainly not. There are so many things that you go through. There'll be times you question yourself. There'll be times you ask yourself whether it was even worth it to start. But as long as you have the reason why you are there, the reason why you wanted to start, then it makes everything else fall in line. If you don't know what you want to do, I would advise that you also look at people around you who are doing well and just listen to their stories. You might get some nuggets that will help you build your own story as well. And you don't have to necessarily build, like, the stories don't have to be the same. Like, you don't have to follow that person's life. But if you speak to someone, if you speak to another person, it helps you put things into context and you know where you want to go and then just start, chasing after them. And I think use the resource around you, internet, people. LinkedIn is really powerful these days. So DM people. I get so many DMs these days, and it's mind blowing. Like somebody reaching out to you from India, they said they saw your profile, they are doing finance, they want to know how to break in. What advice do you have them? Like that, I try to reply like as much as I can when I have time. But just do that, and you'll be surprised the level of connectivity you can have and networking that you can. I've reached out to people on LinkedIn who have become very crucial to my network these days. Like who have also plugged me onto other things, and it was just because of a LinkedIn text. So yeah, it works.
No, thank you so much. I think it is incredible advice, and it's also an incredible story. I would recommend for everyone that, just like Kelly said, you need to listen to the stories of other people. Where else to find these stories than the Shaft conversations? So I'm going to ask you to please like and to subscribe to our video. Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much for sharing such an incredible story. Kelly, like we said, is a banker, is also an entrepreneur who set his targets, set his dreams. And today we've learned about his story, his motivations, where his inspiration comes from, the level of grit that his dad showed that was also transposed into him, what he had to go through to overcome certain barriers and obstacles, and at the end of the day, achieve his objectives. We've also learned what excites him and what is coming forward for his future. And we do hope that we find the opportunity to one day sit here and then discuss some of these exciting projects. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for a lovely episode. And please like, please subscribe. And I'm going to speak to you again. Thank you.